a drone manufacturer who works in intelligence hypothesizing
told us that they're not theirs. They're not
be astroturfing or laying the brickwork or the groundwork for the drones. Are you following the drone story?
Oh my gosh, don't.
No, I won't play the entire thing. I
No.
won't even play the video, but Rogan reposted this guy, a 9-minute video, a drone manufacturer who works in intelligence hypothesizing that, and I think it's the only theory that makes sense for the time being, that the drones are out there sniffing. He doesn't know for what, but they're out there sniffing. Some people are saying if they're out there sniffing, why would they be out at night with their lights on? I don't know how closely you're following it or if you're investigating it on your own. I think the consensus now is they are, in fact, real not unidentified, but unaccounted for drones. Some people were filming planes and some people are saying, oh, there's no drones. It's just idiots confusing them with planes. There's drones. The government's admitting it. They don't know whose they are. There was some Republican guy who came out last week, said they're Iranian drones coming from a mothership off the East Coast, which I think has been thoroughly, not debunked, but is thoroughly preposterous. Mayorkas, the dereliction treasonous traitor, comes out and says it's not Iranian. We don't know what it is. And my underlying theory is that some people are saying PSYOP, but that doesn't... Here, hold on a second. Chase Hughes has a good video about them being a PSYOP. In what sense, though? Because the PSYOP could be they know what they are, but they're telling you they don't. There was a 9-minute video of a drone expert manufacturer who's working with intelligence, says he thinks they're sniffing. And I think that is the thing that makes the most sense, given the fact that it's not hard to take down a drone. And if they were not government drones, the government would have taken them down. What's your understanding of where this is at? And what's your personal opinion?
There's a lot there. I've been following this since about 2 weeks ago. Hardcore. It's so intriguing to me. I have to ask you a question, though. Do you know how big decades-old nuclear warheads from Ukraine would be? And wasn't it Russia back then?
Well, so people were saying, yeah, why would there be nukes in Ukraine? Some people are saying, from what I understand, like there could be nukes that could be as small as a large briefcase.
But didn't he say they went missing like years ago?
He said the guy. Well, I should play some of the video so that nobody thinks we're crazy here. Hold on, it was. Let me see here. Not crystal ball. No, I got a lot of. Here we go. CEO drone manufacturer. Well, let's skip to the part where he's talking about
to the highest levels of our government.
Okay, so he works for the government
project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night.
Okay.
Really? Okay. Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics.
Okay, this is
gas leaks just simply because
the gas leaks.
Whatever is different in temperature, it creates an image. Usually gas leaks so slow.
Okay, he's talking about what they could be looking at
all to help this gentleman raise the alarm.
Here we go. This is it.
Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm
about missing nukes from Ukraine.
That there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now.
I think it was in the beginning that he said.
Yeah. Here, let's.
Back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program. And there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing.
So that ended up in Ukraine, ended up missing. He says, the guy that I know put his hand on one and he sounded the alarm. It went missing. Nobody knows where it is. Do I doubt that there are unaccounted for nuclear warheads?
How big are these things?
I think they could be relatively small. Let's see.
From the 80s?
How small is a nuclear warhead?
From the 80s. A
nuclear warhead can be as small as a few inches in diameter to a couple of feet long with some design. All right, let's see. Suffice to say, let's say it's big enough. But the bottom line is here, a typical nuclear warhead from the 80s could be roughly the size of a basketball. This is from AI, with a diameter of around 11 to 12 inches and 2 to 3 feet deep.
Okay. So then you've got to fly these drones only at nighttime with their lights blaring everywhere to find a basketball-sized nuclear warhead that was stolen from Ukraine and is on its way over here.
Now, forget that. That guy's theory is just like one of the things they could be looking for. My bottom line is I believe they're sniffing for radiological potential.
Why?
Because somebody might have come over with, like, somebody come over from the southern border or even from the northern border. Forget the southern border. Maybe one of those 1,000 intercepted terrorists have brought over some dirty bomb, and they're trying to look. Why would they go at night? Maybe less traffic, so less distortion,
But
less
what made
pedestrians.
you think that? Like, why did you go there first? Before you heard that guy, what did you think?
Oh, no, I thought it before that guy, actually. So I'll say, if I turn out to be right, my tweet's like a week old. I went there because first of all, it's inconceivable that the government would say that they're not government drones and then be incapable of taking down at least one to identify where they come from. Like, if they're Iranian drones, it's not rocket science to take them down, not with a shotgun or lethal fire. It's easy to take them down. They it's easy. They say, oh, we went out with our drones and then these things disappear. They don't have lights on. So I don't believe that they're foreign. I believe it's sort of a domestic operation that they can't disclose the purpose of for the time being. Whether it's the purpose is strictly psyop to confuse people and to create a news cycle issue, I don't believe they're foreign, because I believe that one would have been taken down if only by, what's the word I'm looking for? An entrepreneurial citizen. So I believe it's government. Then the only question is, what are they doing?
The government told us that they're not theirs. They're not a foreign adversaries, and they're not like a nation states. So they told us those three things.
Well, but at the same time, that's the thing. They said they are foreign and they're not foreign at the same time. It just depends on the different branch of government.
Yeah, so they're lying to us, period. So are we going to choose to believe that they're not our, if we choose to believe one thing, don't we have to believe everything? So are we going to cherry pick what the government's telling us to kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe literally anything they're saying.
No, true. They are lying. That's for certain. Now, and I listen to a lot of Bongino, and Bongino says, well, nobody wants to look stupid. So by virtue of the fact that they're saying we don't know what it is, they must be doing that begrudgingly. And I say, no, I take it from a different angle. They don't mind looking stupid if it's temporary. It's sort of a Machiavellian strategy. They know that they can't say the exact reason for which they're doing this, because it will highlight their incompetence or corruption. Or maybe it's just a pure distraction operation. In Canada, by the way, during COVID, the government said COVID's a good time for us to test propaganda techniques. And they were running a story, a propaganda story about wolves running wild in metropolitan areas. And so if it's just a pure distraction, fine. But I think that the reason why they're not saying what it is, despite the fact that they know it's not foreign, is because I think it would highlight a grotesque lapse of security, and they don't want to highlight their incompetence for the incoming administration. For one reason or another.
That could be true. They did that with War of the Worlds, by the way, back in the 40s here in the United States, and over and over and over and over again. I mean, everything is propaganda for us here. Everything. I believe literally nothing. And that's the problem. Another thing to that video, before we skip that, because there's a lot there. That guy, I looked him up. He's not listed as the CEO of any of the companies that he says he's the CEO of on their pages. That doesn't mean that I'm saying he's not.
No, but that's it. Well, first of all, why didn't I? This is journalism. Ask the obvious questions. The first question, is he who he says he is?
It may be that he's like the undercover CEO. I'm not writing him off completely.
No, it's a fair question.
His LinkedIn does say that he's the CEO, but I mean, I could say I'm the CEO too, and on my LinkedIn, and nobody would say anything.
Do you have facial recognition software? Do you have access to any?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Is it MZ about do due diligence and you're a lawyer or a journalist? Oh no, but the thing is, like, sometimes like that video just popped up and like there's so much.
Well, I mean, it's viral. It's viral at this point, right? He has a room. He looks like he's in a museum. I just don't trust anything. That's a problem sometimes, because I trust nothing, right? But that video this is the problem with the state of things as they are now. I was saying it on Friday. Literally, one of those things could land and little green men could get off of it and come and say, we come in peace. And everybody would be like, the government's trying to get us to think aliens exist. And the aliens could be there like, we're real. This is really us. We're here. And the people would be like, oh, goodbye. We're never going to know what the truth of these things actually is. Ever.
Well, unless now I have a very, very sinister secondary concern that it might be that I get very dark. If it might be the government trying to set up a situation where in the future a drone is used to carry out a very nefarious purpose, and then they can say, "Oh, well, it was inevitable. It shows a weakness, and we can't stop foreign drones from flying over us." When Trump is out on the golf course and they have that Ruth guy who's hiding in the bushes, and everybody thinks like snipers and people with guns are the risk. Anybody who's has access to a drone can understand what the real risk is. And on the one hand, if they were going to try to set up a pretext where something could happen and they're going to say, look, we couldn't do anything about it when they were flying over New Jersey. What do you expect us to do when they were flying over Mar-a-Lago? And so my concern, and I hope it's relayed to the Trump team, is this looks like it could be astroturfing or laying the brickwork or the groundwork for a drone attack somewhere between now and, say, inauguration. And they can say, "Oh, we couldn't stop them. It's a new technology, and we're they're ahead of the game. These Iranian, Chinese-made drones." Or there is actually something radiological out there that has been carried over the border that might be implemented between now and up to and including Inauguration Day.
The way I look at this entire thing at this point is this: there is nothing that anyone is going to do about any of this, right? Let's pretend that's true and they're sniffing for radiation or for a nuclear warhead. Like, you fearing it and running around scared about it and getting stressed out about it. Like, nobody ever makes any good decisions from a place of fear, ever, which is why they try to keep us that way 99% of the time, in fear or anger or fighting. Nobody can ever make a good decision from there. There's nothing that you personally can do about it. So at this point, I'm doing this. It's getting ridiculous now. Like, now I'm seeing craziness go on, and I feel bad for people because you don't know what to believe because they don't tell us, and that might be the whole point.
There's no question about that, because one way or the other, if they're sniffing out for a nuclear bomb or something terrible, they can't say it. That would cause public panic. Flip side, if they're just testing out drones and whatever, don't tell anybody. This has caused a week's worth of a news cycle about people looking up in the sky. The only good thing about it, people are looking up at the sky for the first time ever. They're noticing that there's sometimes an aura around the moon. No, but it's about, and you never know if it's parody. You never know what to believe, and you never know if an account is parody. Like, what's that ring around the moon? And it's an actual beautiful phenomenon that occurs, especially when it gets cold. No, but my money is on. It's an operation. They know it is. They're looking for something or someone. They're out at night because there's less traffic, there's less pollution, there's less interference. And the one big question is, if they're out trying to do it discreetly, why are they running with the lights, the FAA lights? Like, that was the most idiotic premise of their Iranian, China-made drones that are abiding by the FAA requirements for red and green lights on drones.
Yeah. Well, they also, I mean, there are, if you want to really go down a crazy rabbit hole, which I have fun doing, go over to UFO Twitter and look at what they're saying about this stuff. They're saying everything from, these are ships that are cloaking themselves to look like actual real things that we have here on Earth. Like, it is a wild scenario out there right now, no matter where you turn. So we're never going to be able to get to the bottom of it. And sometimes people, government actors will pepper that into whatever they're trying to do on purpose to discredit everything at that point.